Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at some creative club ideas if you've decided to play in England. So there'll be about 5 ideas in this video. Skip along the chapters at the bottom if you want to skip to the next one and you're not interested in this one. But I'll mention an idea for a kit, the club name, and then a few reasons why this would be a good idea. So let's get started straight away with a real club that's just not going to be on the game, and that's Notts County. They play in black and white stripes and they are the oldest professional team in the world. They were relegated to the conference a few seasons ago, but you might remember around 2010 where they had players like Kasper Schmeichel, Sven-Göran Eriksson as manager and Sol Campbell playing in defence. This was because of a scam by a group called Munto Finance, who pretended to be very, very rich people, but instead they nearly bankrupt Notts County, and over the course of the next decade they got progressively worse and worse before finally being relegated a few seasons ago. Nowadays they have pretty poor finances, to be honest, but they have good finances for the level they're at. They also have a huge stadium for the conference, absolutely more than good enough for League One or even the Championship, with about 22,000 seats inside Meadow Lane. I think this would be a really cool challenge to try and bring one of the oldest teams in the world back to glory, where they haven't really had so much success above the Championship in around 50 years. So, worth a try. If you're interested in Notts County, as I said, black and white stripes, but make sure you check out their Wikipedia page if you want to know a little bit more about the club and why their history is so good for English football. Okay, team 2 on the list is going to be a brand new team. They don't exist in real life, and that's why they've made it onto this list. Wakefield is the biggest English city without a team at any level. They're a massive team in rugby, Wakefield Trinity, I believe they're called, but when it comes to football, they let some of their neighbouring towns really speak for Yorkshire. If you do choose to create Wakefield, I would recommend trying to copy the rugby team's shirt, which is a white shirt with a red and blue stripe around the middle, and you will have very good rivalries in every single league. You've got teams like Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield, Barnsley, Doncaster, and a couple of other Yorkshire-based teams like the Sheffield teams and Hull. So no matter what league you're in, you're going to have at least one other team from Yorkshire in it, most likely. Another bonus for this is the fact that you would have 325,000 people who live in Wakefield all wanting you to be successful, which gives you a pretty big stadium, let's be honest. And you can easily copy the Wakefield Trinity rugby team's badge and just pretend you might be owned by the same owner or something and give yourself a pretty decent income boost. I think this is probably the most realistic team on this list and the most possible to actually make it into the Football League if they did decide to build a team. So I really do recommend you give this team a go. Moving from the realistic to the very unrealistic, one suggestion for create a club could be having a Belfast or another Northern Irish team in the English football pyramid. This could be similar to something like Swansea or Cardiff, but Belfast I've chose because they are the biggest city in the UK without a professional team. I believe Crusaders recently might have turned professional, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So either way, they're not going to have a huge amount of competition, especially if you put Belfast in something like League 2. You'll have a big budget, you'll have around 1.5 million fans cheering you on. You can base your kits off the Northern Irish national team. You could even maybe do a club and country save where you manage both Northern Ireland and Belfast FC, while signing youth academy players from Northern Ireland to try and bolster your team and get them up the league. The fan base would be very passionate. I'm sure you know a lot of people from Belfast will support someone like Manchester United or Liverpool because they're so close to the city. It's just a ferry ride across the Irish Sea. So if they did manage to actually have a team in the league that was flying around, even League 2, I really do think they would be able to sell out a 20, maybe 30,000 seat stadium on the regular basis. Of course, a lot of people in Northern Ireland also have pretty tight connections with the English, so it's not absolutely impossible for this to have happened in real life in the past, but the relationship's starting to weaken a little bit nowadays, so I'd probably mark this one down as very unlikely to happen in real life, but it would still be very, very fun on FIFA 22. Now, a team that used to be on FIFA up until I believe last year is Bury FC, and recently they went bust and have had a fan-owned Phoenix club rise in its place. Formed in December 2019, playing in a similar blue and white kit with blue shoulders on a white shirt, based near Manchester, you have Bury AFC. Now, as they're fan-owned, you can expect they'll have very poor finances, and they actually play in around the 8th or 9th tier of English football, so they also have a pretty bad squad if you want them to be realistic. If you're creating a club, you can probably justify giving them an average squad for the league, just because I think they'll have a pretty good resurgence through the leagues, probably similar to someone like Wimbledon, who despite coming into the league as a very poor team, managed to get some good sponsorship money from the likes of Football Manager, and they use this to buy some pretty good players and get promoted out of League 2. I can see something like this happening with Bury, especially with their location being so close to Manchester. You could have a rivalry with Salford, or you could consider them to be a sister club and maybe having a similar kind of rise up the leagues with Salford. I'd love to see Bury get back into the league, and hopefully you'll decide to choose them for your next FIFA 22 Create a Club. Going back in time, we're going to have a quick look at Wanderers FC. You might have heard of these if you're a fan of the FA Cup, because they actually won 5 of the first 7 FA Cups. Playing in black, pink and brown hoops, they had no stadium, so they weren't actually eligible to join the league back in the day. This meant they could only really play friendlies, and up until 1890 that's what they did. But as more and more teams joined the league, there was less and less friendlies, so eventually they dissolved as a club. They've recently reformed in 2009, and despite their reputation and their good history, they haven't actually progressed since then. But if you add them back to the league, especially with that history, you should have the goal of maybe winning another 5 FA Cups. I think that would be a pretty good challenge from League 1 or League 2, getting up to the Championship, the Premier League, and winning some FA Cups with one of the original best teams in England. You could even possibly, if you're modding on PC, try and play at a different stadium every week. It could be a cool little added bonus of playing with Wanderers FC. Definitely worth considering. And finally, the 6th and final team on this list is going to be England under 21s. You might be thinking, why on earth would they be playing in the English Football League? Well, it actually happens a couple of teams in Asia where you'll see someone like the Indonesian or the Thai or the South Korean under 21s actually playing in the league. This gives them some nice cohesion, and it also helps train up all the players to the same level. So it could happen, and honestly, I think it could possibly happen in real life one day. The team would be based in Burton, and I think you'd probably have to copy the England kits to try and keep it a little bit more realistic. So Burton is home of St George's Park, which is where the England squad train when they're playing in England. Having the stadium at the Pirelli Stadium with Burton would be a good suggestion, although you could also probably call the stadium something like St George's Park and have it looking like the training ground. Of course, the goal here would be to only sign players under the age of 21, sell them when they reach 22, and it's going to be tough to try and compete with this changing squad every single year. You're going to have to try and win the Premier League with under 20-year-old players, probably, and every time you get a player who's starting to peak and starting to really develop, you're going to have to let them go, and that's going to be tough to keep doing that over and over again, especially when you get to the Premier League and you figure out that actually 16-year-olds probably can't compete with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. So that's my suggestions for 6 English creator clubs. If you have any for your nation, maybe you're from Spain and you think, hey, Gibraltar FC would be interesting. Or you could be from France and suggest maybe having your own Basque team that plays in the French 2nd Division. You never know, there could be some good, interesting ideas out there that only you've thought of. So make sure you drop them in the comments, and if I see enough good ones from one country, I'll make another video and try and put together some of my own ideas and help you guys create your clubs going forwards. So thank you all for watching this far. If you liked any of my ideas or you think you're going to use a single one, feel free to hit the like button because it really does help me out. And hopefully I'll see you in a video coming very soon. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.